There was once a time when people could communicate with flowers, trees, birds, and whales. People knew that their lives were but a small part of a great universe. They revered the sun, respected the moon, inquired of the wind, prayed to fire, were healed by water, and rejoiced with the earth. Then, with remarkable technological progress, we began to consider ourselves masters of the universe, with the rest of nature existing solely for our benefit. We rapidly began to forget the very language that once enabled us to communicate with nature. Will this ability to communicate be lost forever? Or will we find it again as we learn to work in harmony with our newfound progress and technology?
I think being brought up in this area, I wasn't aware of all the influence until I went away from Gweedore and I started to live in Dublin. And especially when I started to compose music, I discovered that I was using the inspirations and a lot of the scenery and a lot of my time I spent here growing up has started to evolve from the music that I'm composing. So it is very important to me. But again, it's not something that I was very aware of while I was composing. It's only afterwards, when I listen to the music, when it's finished, that I can hear all these feelings through the music.
In Europe, long before the arrival of Christianity, there lived a group of people who spoke a common Gaelic language. They were called the Celts. The Celts are known to have migrated from the foot of the Himalayas at the end of the Ice Age, and they believed that the divine was incarnated in everything. They revered the sun and the stars, and believed in the existence of a great spirit who bestowed life in all its natural manifestations, in human beings and animals, in trees and grasses, even in rocks and the wind. Driven out by the Germans and Anglo-Saxons, the Celts fled westward until they reached the west end of Europe and settled in Ireland.
There is one particular beach, Maharagalvan. This was the first place where the people in Gweedore used to live, and that's very special to me because I have it related to one of my songs on the album Watermark, On Your Shore. Especially my grandfather, he was a great storyteller. From when I was a very young girl, I would sit and listen to him when he'd come back from school. I would wait for him, and then I would go down to his house because we lived right beside them, and I would sit with him, and he would tell me so many stories. But I used to sit and listen, and then I would fall asleep. I like to see myself as the modern Celtic composer.
Late in the 1980s, the music of Enya suddenly emerged in Ireland and spread quickly beyond its borders. Enya's music stirred an inexplicable sense of familiarity in the hearts of many. If this sense of familiarity finds its origins in the ancient Celtic spirit, as Enya herself suggests, what was this Celtic spirit? Together with Mayumi TSURUOKA, researcher of Celtic art, we visited sites in Ireland where traces of Celtic culture can still be found. Numerous relics of swirl hieroglyphs engraved on giant stones can be found in places that the ancient Celts revered as sacred sites. For example, the entrance to the remains of Newgrange, which was built around 3200 BC, is protected by a giant stone engraved with 3 spiral hieroglyphs. The interior of the chamber, where some say the souls of kings commune with the universe, was designed such that the sunlight at dawn on the winter solstice enters through a small opening at the entrance, travels down a narrow 30-meter corridor, and into a small chamber far in the back. There, the sunlight comes to rest on 3 spiral hieroglyphs engraved in the stone.
ケルト的な思考っていうのは一見渦巻きのようにね遠回りで全く瞬間にこう湾曲するわけですから前が見えないわけですね。でその見えない先にねまた一歩踏み出してさらにまた見えない壁とか闇とか森とかが前に来る。しかしそれを非常にワクワクその見えない世界を非常に感じてそして闇の中にいろんなイメージエンヤの音のようにどこで切れるともないピリオドがないですよね。 しかしその繰り返しというのは二度と同じそのなんですか演習の上をたどらなくて、聞いたものがなんかその船に乗せられて、今私たちがいる世界じゃなくて。
The Celts believed that the divine was incarnated in all natural manifestations, and they worshipped the earth goddess Brigid above all else. The Celts regarded this fount from which holy water springs as a sacred site. The fountain also represents a doorway connecting us to the womb of the earth goddess Brigid.
彼女は自母神でありましたから、そのあらゆる生き物の誕生を司ると同時にその死もコントロールするという。でギリシャの場合はそれがガイアになるし、ケルトの場合はキリスト教になってからの聖ブリジット。
According to Celtic mythology, there was a period of darkness when the sun was covered for 3 days by treacherous clouds. But Brigid called the sun back to earth, and all life was resurrected. Although Brigid now appears as a Catholic saint, an engraved Celtic spiral is clearly visible at the center of her cross. Saint Patrick first brought Christianity to Ireland in the year 432 AD. At that time, the Hill of Tara was the Celts' most important sacred site, a holy place in which supernatural beings manifested themselves in physical form. Saint Patrick met with the first Celtic king who ruled Ireland here on the Hill of Tara. The mounds of varying sizes were entrances and exits connecting this world with another. Deities and fairies from the other world entered through these gateways into the material world. They reportedly conversed and played with the people living in this world and manifested many mystical events. 1,500 years have passed since Catholicism was introduced in Ireland, and the concept of nature once embraced by the Celtic people appears to have all but disappeared. But in fact, this Celtic spirit still survives in the Catholic customs that are practiced here.
泉と私たちがそこに手を差し入れた時に治るというセント・ブリジットの泉ですよね。その水に触れるっていう人間の一番なんて言うんでしょう、日常的な行為に最も聖なる瞬間があるという、しかもそれが私たちの体に染み入ってある病を治してくれるっていう、すごくネイチャーのものとネイチャーの一部である人間的なものとがどう触れ合ってどう祝福し合えるかっていう、それぞれの自然がアイルランドの古い時代にいた人やケルトによって全部生かされていくという、気がします。
A traditional custom still practiced in Ireland is the harvest of a grass called rush to make a cross on the evening of January 31st, St. Bridget Day Eve. The St. Bridget cross represents the sun. It has a spiral in the center, and to this day it symbolizes the form of the Celtic goddess Bridget.
パトリック以降が来てからの、ケルト人というかその末裔であるアイルランド人は新しい宗教キリスト教を受け入れたんだけれども、彼らにとってはおそらく日本人もそうですけども、神道という自然の山であるとか水であるとか太陽であるとか、その中にある神秘的なもの、聖なるものを見るっていうのと同じように、キリスト教を受け入れても自然の神秘に対する思いとかそういう信仰心は失われずに、むしろもっと強まって残っていくっていうことがあったと思うんですね。
For me, I spoke Gaelic first, and then I'd learn to speak English. That was at school. And when I am composing or if I'm going to sing in Gaelic, it feels very natural for me to want to sing in Gaelic because it being my first language. The Gaelic in Donegal is very, very softly spoken. That it does adapt itself very, very much to music. But again, I only do it to sing in Gaelic because it feels very strong for me. I feel very much at home singing in Gaelic. On the album, I sing a lot in Gaelic.
Yes.
And it's not looked upon as people don't understand what I'm singing about. They can sense again the feeling. For so many people to listen to Nalehe Galmoiga, so many people have written to me to express that they felt very deep about this and had guessed again that it might be about my childhood. And it's wonderful.
There is a Celtic saying, supernatural spirits incarnate in words and music. He or she who can master them is a messenger of God. The Druid priests who guided Celtic society were also outstanding musicians and poets.
The only entertainment they had was to visit each other's houses. And they would sit at night time and around the fire, and they would tell stories. And then they would sing songs. Children would dance, but it would go on for many hours. It was called like a gurnyal, which would meant visiting. And when I was young, I would have listened to all the traditional music, and then when I went to boarding school, I was introduced to the classical music, and I loved this as well. I can sense the combination of the traditional music with the classical music. But my love has always been for melody, and in the Gaelic music, melody is very strong.
The Celtic people prefer to preserve their folklore and mythology by word of mouth and through music rather than in written form. Enya grew up with this Celtic mythology and music. Her first exposure to contemporary music may have resurrected her ancestors' spirits.
でなぜねダローの書に書かれた渦巻き文様があるいは円谷さんの音楽の中に漂ってる渦巻きが魅力的かっていうと、それは自然という向こう側だけに漂ってるものじゃなくて、あそこに私たちの身体が入ってる天のあるいは自然の水の流れの光の空気のその渦巻きに私たちの身体にね何かうごめいてる、やはり東洋的な言葉で言えば木みたいなもの、あるいはその木の上に私たちのこの血とか肉とかっていうのがもちろんくっついてるわけですね。私たちのそのパターンが身体なり木がそこに組み込まれてるんです。だからケルティックスパイラルっていうのはとても身体的だし、そして宇宙的なものと一緒にこう絡まり合いながら私たち自身を向こう側から見えるスパイラルなんです。
Ireland is at the west end of Europe. Farther west, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, there is a small island called Skellig Michael. It is thought to be a paradise where the spirits of the dead live on forever. A 300-meter cliff stands high on this island, and not a single tree grows here. During the 5th century, Christian priests underwent rigorous training on this barren rock. The Celtic people could see eternity in this desolation. They seem to be reminding those of us alive today of something important that we have lost. The visible world is not everything. The mind embodies limitless possibilities, and our lives are only a small part of a great universe which goes on forever and is intimately interconnected. The view that our lives are only a part of the great universe was not exclusive to the Celts. Back before people had forgotten to respect and learn from nature, it was a universal view shared by all the people in the world. Memories from our distant past must surely be inside each of us living here and now at the end of the 20th century. The inexplicable familiarity of Enya's music may come from a reawakening of such quiet memories in each and every one of us.
And some scholars say that the spiral symbolizes eternity and a death and revival. And
It feels like that.
Yeah. So do
Even
you
if
think,
you're to draw
do
it.
you agree?
Yeah, because if you're to draw it, it just goes on. You feel like it goes on forever, you know. Especially when you're going in. It just feels like it could carry on. How far I can go.